Minnesotan football star, a LGBT activist, a writer, a computer gamer, occasional musician, husband, father, probably does other things too. And was talking at TED today about how technology creates empathy and bullying. Chris Kluwe. We thought Amanda and I would each get to sort of talk to somebody, and I thought it would be fun to talk to Chris. How did you get involved in the peculiar madness that is TED?
Well, I drank the Kool-Aid. Then it all started to make sense. I showed up. But no, they invited me to Long Beach, and I sent them a chapter from my book talking about augmented reality in sports, and they said, you should present on this. I was like, okay, that seems like a good idea. And, but really what I wanted to talk about was not so much augmented reality in sports, but how augmented reality is something we can use to foster more empathy in ourselves as a species. Because being able to see and experience something from someone else's point of view is so powerful that why are we just going to use that for entertainment? Why don't we use that to make ourselves better people? I mean, and one of the examples I gave in the talk is, what is this technology worth when you're a teacher in a classroom and you have a bully and you can show that bully just what it feels like to be the kid on the other end of that bullying? How does that feel to the bully? He understands, like, oh my God, I shouldn't do that. That's fucked up.
I worry. Some of the bullies that I had at school would have gone, oh my God, this is awesome. It feels like that. Yes, yes, I'm a masochist. But so you actually got to be sort of the token geek football star.
Actually, I was the token jock, which I don't think I've ever been. It was really funny because they're like, yeah, can you talk about football stuff? And I was like, well, yeah, but I really kind of want to talk about empathy. I kind of want to talk about this other thing that I think is important, but yeah, focus on the football stuff. I'm like, okay, but I'm going to include the empathy stuff because that's the real message here. And then finally they're like, okay, yeah, we're okay with that, but just kind of keep it at the end. But I think that really is the important thing because we are human beings. We're complex creatures. I'm not just a jock. I'm not just a geek. I'm not just a father or a husband or whatever I am. I'm a human being. There's so many parts that go into making up all of us that to try and put someone into one little box, you just...
Or in your case, one very big one.
Yeah, one very smart. But the instant you try and define someone by just that one thing, you take out everything else that makes them who they are. And that is horrible. We're people. We're human beings. We're complex. It's amazing.
So, if you had one cool TED-like message that you could tell approximately 1,100 people in Vancouver who came here because A, nothing like this has ever happened before or since, and B, it's doing good things for the food bank. If you had one thing you wanted to tell them, Chris, what would it be?
Well, do we have 8 minutes for another TED Talk? No, it really is the, hold on, I'm going to put my red sippy cup down because I'm actually a very active talker with my hands. I'm going to need it for this. We were talking about this backstage, and the idea is that as a species, our technological progression right now is increasing exponentially. Our technological progression is going like this. Our empathic progression is going like this. It's linear. And if we don't close that gap, if we don't understand why we have to act with empathy, why you shouldn't push that button, then we will push that button, because we always push that button. And you can look back through history and you see it happen time after time after time. And the example I told you was during World War II, in the Manhattan Project, the scientists were worried that there was a chance that detonating a nuclear bomb could ignite our atmosphere and scour the entire planet. But they detonated it anyways, because they felt that that was what they had to do. So when we're creating bio-tailored viruses, or when we're mining asteroids in low Earth orbit for resources, creating an orbital infrastructure, when we're creating nanotechnology, who is going to be the person that says, don't push that button? don't ignite that nuclear weapon, which will then consume the atmosphere, because we've shown that we will always push that button. So we have to close that gap. We have to understand that empathy isn't just being lovey-dovey, hugging each other, hippie madness. Empathy is a purely self-serving idea that says, if I want to be free to live my own life, everyone else has to be free to live theirs, because otherwise it doesn't work.
Awesome token jock.
Yes.
And now we're going to add someone into the conversation. I would like to introduce, also fresh from the TED stage today where she totally killed it, Del from Twitter, who I met about, come on up Del. I met Del 5 years ago. She's here to talk to all of us. But everyone on stage is, just grab any mic. Grab a mic. That's okay. You were really good today, just so you know. You're amazing. You wiped my brain clean with your knowledge.
Well, that's good, because it was all about disaster.
So the reason I kept you guys up is because everyone here is big on Twitter. Or has, I mean, you have a lot of followers, Chris, don't you?
Yeah, decent amount.
Yeah.
Not quite as much as you do, but
many, many followers. And so Del did a talk, I mean, I'll let her kind of summarize. It was pretty amazing. And one of the things that I loved about it was sitting on the TED, you know, in TED watching Del talk and remembering 6 years ago when basically nobody was on Twitter. It was like this teeny little clubhouse. And you could be the #1 trending topic on Twitter by just drinking with everyone on a Friday night and being like, let's all make a hashtag, which I did. And now she's on stage at TED talking to some of the most powerful people in the world about Twitter security, war, and death.
I keep things lighthearted.
So, I mean, like, I'll throw it open to anyone.
So party topics, guys.
But like, basically, I mean,
the component of what I said is that on Twitter, we see over 500 million tweets each day. That means that for us, a 1 in a million chance happens 500 times a day, which is really crappy odds if you're trying to prevent something from happening, which is generally what my job boils down to. So my point in pointing out that this was the scale we were dealing with is that for the sort of work I do, which is around ensuring user trust and protecting user rights and keeping users safe, both from each other and at times from themselves. Really?
Can you tell us about that just for a second?
How long have you been on Twitter now?
A long time.
And you're still on. See how well I've done? Totally dodged that one, didn't I?
Anyway. Okay, continue.
So the sort of component of dealing with that massive scale is I have to just assume that everything is going to go wrong all of the time. Because it will at some point. If it's super unlikely, that's okay. We're doing really well on super unlikely things happening. I don't know if you've seen any of the things that have, happened on Twitter. Thanks.
It's weird.
It's so weird. You guys, you do weird things. And I watch all of them. You ever wonder if somebody saw that one tweet that you tweeted and then deleted? That was me. Really enjoyed that one for you.
Can I ask a question? So when I met, I went to the Twitter offices in San Francisco when it was all just starting and there were like 50 people working there.
Yeah.
And Neil was on Twitter before me because Neil is amazing. And he actually, He actually helped.
It was actually a core requirement to sign up.
He actually helped talk me into it back in the day when everyone was like, "You'll like Twitter," and I was like, "It sounds like bullshit. Like, just tell people where you are." Who cares?
Actually, the truth is, she'd been using it for at least 6 months.
Oh, this is embarrassing. No, not 6 months. Like 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
She'd been using it for quite a while before I said.
3 weeks.
Before we started going out, I saw her tweeting, and I said, you know, if you click on that app thing, you can see all the things that people are actually saying to you. And she went, what? She was lost.
I was excited.
Suddenly, she discovered that a conversation could occur.
It says something about my level of narcissism that after 3 weeks of being on Twitter and only emitting information, I was like, that's pretty cool. Just announcing what I am. But the question was, when I went, your department was called Spam and Abuse, which I just thought was an amazing job title.
Well, it's kind of a
but it's
bummer,
changed.
though, like when you're, I head up abuse. Like I do all of it. So now it's the slightly Orwellian, but much more like loving and encompassing sounding trust and safety. Which, I mean, really, do you not like trust? Do you not like safety?
Trust and safety sounds very government.
We've always been at war with Eurasia.
My name is Michael, I'm here from Trust and Safety.
Double plus, I'm good.
Yep.
No, there's a strong component to double plus on it. But it's also, it really does come down to, and part of the reason for the name change is because what I referenced earlier, the mandate of the department, which is around ensuring user trust and protecting user rights. It's something that we take really seriously, and I'm fortunate enough to be completely outside of the business side of things. I report to our general counsel, so I don't even have to worry about it.
Well, and I assume that spam actually falls under abuse.
It depends on the day.
Is there good spam?
If you wanted the spam.
Who wants spam?
Hawaiians, huge fans.